Hi, today's video is on diets and diet changes. Um, but I wanted to start off by saying something about nerve related burning mouth because I had mentioned gut health on one of the boards, and somebody came back and said, well, improving my gut health won't help me because I have nerve damage. So gut health and nerve pain are interconnected through the gut brain axis. So they improving your gut health will help nerve pain. Specifically because the body has a natural pharmacy, and when your gut is working properly and it's able to produce the things that it should, generally that helps reduce inflammation and pain and things like that. So a perfect example is like leaky gut. If toxins and things get out into the bloodstream, it causes inflammation elsewhere that can impact nerves and nerve pain. So just keep in mind that even if you have nerve pain or yours was dental related or something, that this could still help you. Another point is that with nerve stuff, if your gut's not working properly and you're not breaking down foods and absorbing the nutrients you should because of inflammation or dysbiosis or something like that, a lot of neurological things and nerve type pain can come from like low B12 or low vitamins, vitamin deficiencies, and it can mimic the nerve pains and neurological stuff. So you may think that it's nerve related, but it is actually vitamin deficiency. So just keep that in mind too, because I did go to a neurologist, and there isn't really a test to verify that the burning mouth is neurological or nerve related or for nerve damage. I know they have things like EMGs that will test other parts, but I don't really think they have something that can test to verify that the burning mouth is caused by nerve damage. So a lot of people just make that assumption. Okay. The other thing I want to say before I dive too much into diets is to approach this with an abundance of caution, because if you approach this, I say approach this with an abundance of caution, but I don't want to spark fear into people, because that's the whole point, is that if you approach this with fear, it can kind of go wrong. So that's what I did, is that I got really obsessed with trying to strictly adhere to specific diets, and that stress and the fear of eating something outside of the diet, and that would impact my mouth and make things worse, actually did make everything worse. So it was only when I kind of took all the stuff that I had related to diets and I had a light heart about it, and I didn't tell myself, you can't have this, you can't have that. I just had the knowledge in my head and paid attention to my body and how it reacted to things, and still allowed myself to have that freedom. Because here's the thing, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but I think that when we eat foods we like, there's a dopamine spike. I think it's dopamine. But there are chemical reactions to enjoying food. And those chemical reactions usually help relieve pain. And so when you're in this place where you're just like so scared to eat things, and you just don't want to eat something wrong, and your food choices are so limited and it's just miserable, it really isn't going to help you. So that being said, please know that as we talk about diets and diet changes and stuff like that, take it all with a light heart. Don't be so strict, don't be so rigid, don't be so fearful, and just gain the knowledge. Try a little bit here and there, but just be really careful not to get super intense and absorbed into it. Okay, so there are several diets that have helped people with burning mouth syndrome that I've seen over the years being posted. Paleo is one of them. Paleo is basically just a whole food, hunter-gatherer type of diet that's low sugar, low carb, more like a whole food type of diet. There's keto. A lot of people use keto to lose weight, but the benefits of keto is that it is sugar-free and very low carb. So very similar to paleo, but I think a little bit more strict, maybe a little more intense. I know it's high fat too. There's the Candida diet, which is, and maybe this is considered a Candida cleanse, but the one I'm talking about is where you only eat yogurt, which is not the sugar yogurt, but the plain, unsweetened, boring yogurt, which I've learned to like, meat, low sugar fruits, and non-starchy vegetables, and that's it. And I believe this is not intended to be a long-term diet. This is intended to be a cleanse or a reset or something, just to sort of help your body kill off candida. So I did try that one for a little while, and I've actually tried keto and candida off and on, and I think they have helped me in the sense that sugar has always made things worse for me. Sugar is a real trigger, so anything low sugar is helpful for me. And let's see. Another one is low histamine. Low histamine diet is just what it sounds. You're avoiding foods that cause or create histamine reactions in your body. I'm not going to go into the details of what all these are, as they can get pretty detailed. But low histamine would be for somebody who attributes their burning mouth to something like MCAS, which is mast cell activation syndrome. Another one is a low oxalate diet. There are foods that are considered to be oxalate. I don't know if they're oxalate or oxalate producing, but that's one I've heard. I've never tried that one. Although the Viome test did say that I have trouble processing or breaking down oxalates. So that is an interesting piece. Anti-inflammatory diet. I haven't tried that, but I've heard a lot about that one. So the main one that I became obsessed with and tried is the low acid diet, which is also known as the acid watcher diet. And that was because I was very sure in the beginning, or maybe not the beginning, maybe the middle of my burning mouth journey, that my burning mouth was reflux related or silent reflux related. And so the acid watcher diet is what it sounds like. It's foods that are low acid in order to calm any inflammation in your gut, maybe caused by gastritis, and to help reduce reflux. So I'll go into that a little bit more. So the very first book that I got was this one. This is the Acid Watcher Diet book. It is based on the premise that foods have a specific pH and that you need to keep your foods at a higher pH. Like the lower the pH, the more acidic the food. I'm trying to find the there's actually a list in here of the different pHs of food. Yeah. Oh, here's one talking about the different pHs of alcohol. Okay, so this one's saying like this is the maintenance phase when there's a healing phase where you keep your pH to above 6, I believe. Let me find that list here. There we go. Okay, so it says, these are like the foods that you can eat. And potato has a pH of 5.95. let's see, avocado has a pH of 7.12, those kinds of things. So the whole premise was to keep your pH above 6, I think. Then once you've found a little bit of relief, then you can go to keeping your pH above 4. I think stomach acid has a pH of like 2. So this is basically to try, as an alternative to taking omeprazole all the time or Pepcid all the time. So, and it's a way to heal the stomach lining if that's something you're experiencing. The other one here is the gastritis healing book. And remember, one of my first clues in the beginning was when I got my endoscopy and they said I had mild chronic gastritis. So that's kind of where this came from. I went, oh, okay, gastritis. Maybe I'm having silent reflux and there's some gases coming up that are burning, things like that. So I went heavy on this. Here's the other one. This is, you probably have heard of her, Dr. Jamie Kaufman, Dropping Acid, another popular, same concept, same premise. They all have cookbooks. So the acid water diet has been pretty helpful for me, but it wasn't something that healed me completely. You know what I mean? In fact, it actually took me down to a really dark place at first. So that's why I say approach this whole thing with caution, because I created in myself a lot of food fear. I mean, when you have burning mouth, already you're so fearful. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's causing it. There's just so much fear involved, and that fear will make it worse because fear makes pain worse. It's proven. It amplifies pain. So it sucks when you think you're trying to do something that's going to help you, and then it creates more fear. So it took me a while to really get out of that like real obsession and fear of eating anything acidic after I was heavily in this. But it did open my eyes to, yeah, I do react to acidic foods. And but I mean, whether or not my burning mouth was caused by gastritis or caused by reflux or whatever, because that's still something I'm not 100% sure what has caused it. But I do know that was something I learned, that acidic foods made it worse. So things that I still avoid are coffee, vinegar, and that includes things like salad dressing or like pickles. There are things that have vinegar in them that you have to make sure the ingredients, a lot of things have it in there that you wouldn't think. Lemon, red sauce, alcohol, pepper, onion, and garlic. Those are still like, I just avoid them as much as I can, but I don't go so far as to be like, I can never have these again. Every once in a while, I'll go have a coffee. Every once in a while, and I limit this to when I'm feeling really, really good. And I know it's not going to, like my body can handle it, So if I make spaghetti for my family, maybe I'll have that if I'm feeling well. If I'm not feeling well and I'm feeling like my burning mouth is on a little bit of a higher pain scale, then I'm like, I'm going to skip it tonight. My family had pizza last night. I made homemade chicken, potatoes, and zucchini for myself. So it's just smarter choices and things like that, but not so limiting that like I can never have pizza again. When your body is doing well, you have to learn your body. So all this to say that the acid washer diet did really help me, but created a lot of food fear. It took me a while to get out of that rut. So just be careful. The diets are worth exploring, especially since, if you do want to get your gut health under control, a lot of gut issues, leaky gut, dysbiosis, inflammation, gastritis, a lot of that's caused by highly processed foods, like eating a lot of highly processed foods and sugar. Sugar's like in everything. And remember, the bad bugs in your gut eat sugar. So you can just see how it all ties together. I feel like since I made those changes where I'm avoiding coffee and vinegar and lemon and red sauce and pepper and all those things. Um, that that definitely did make an impact. I'm not saying it's gonna heal you completely, but it definitely helped. So it's definitely worth exploring for you. And um, burning mouth is a mystery. It's like such a, for me at least. I mean, some people have it so cut and dry. They're just like, oh, low B12. You know, take some B12, great. But for me, it's so complex. I mean, yeah, maybe I have gastritis that I'm healing. Also had the COVID, loss of taste. Maybe there's a nerve involvement part. I do tongue thrust where I push the tongue against the top of my teeth. So maybe I'm irritating the nerves all the time there. I mean, there's multiple different pieces to this puzzle for me, at least. So I think that, if you just take a look at all the different pieces of the puzzle and you try and improve each one of them, like I'm avoiding these foods. I'm also wearing my mouth guard if my mouth starts to hurt more than normal, the boil and bite mouth guards. Um, so maybe that'll help over time. But like I said, my burning mouth is still very low level. I'm on, if you've seen my prior videos, but maybe this is the first video you're seeing. So I'm on year 3. My burning mouth stays like pretty much below a 1 most of the time. If I'm really, really stressed or I make poor food choices, a lot of times it'll flare up, maybe to like a 2 or 3, but nothing crazy. And then it does really quickly recover back to a normal low level. Yesterday I was at the beach, totally normal mouth. Weird. But it's so nice to really look back and see like before in this journey, I could say without a doubt that there were no days that felt normal. And now there are more often than not normal days or normal long periods of normal in a day, or really, really low level days. So that's encouraging. And it's also proof that you can get to a place where it's not affecting the quality of life and you can, be like, okay, I'm good with this. I can live with this. I'll be okay with this level of pain. It's nothing, it's a tingle, So anyway, I hope that's encouraging. And I hope I covered everything well. And if you have any questions or if you're interested in any other topics around burning mouth and my experience with burning mouth, put it in the comments. And hopefully this was helpful for you. Good luck. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through it. Give yourself time, patience, and try and eliminate the fear if you can.